Welcome to the JDXpert Overview and Navigation Training. My name is Karen Mabry, and I will be your tour guide for today. It is my pleasure to be here and to hopefully get all of you acclimated and a little bit more comfortable with this new job description management solution. Today, we are going to be exploring the following. First, we're going to be taking a look at why JDXpert is being implemented and just really some of the benefits of this job description management solution. We're going to explore its features and functionality, some navigation basics. We're going to talk about how JDXpert integrates with some of the other HR systems that we use. And last but not least, we're going to take a look at a sampling of some of the approval workflows that are associated with each employee group. As a disclaimer, I want to stress that we would only be taking a look at a small sampling or example of some of the approval workflows. So if you don't see one that you primarily work with, don't be alarmed. There will be more detailed training forthcoming that will dive a little bit deeper into some of those other scenarios. Okay? So I'm sure the burning question is why JDXpert? Why is JDXpert being implemented? Why did we find benefit in rolling it out here at UIC? And the answer to that is really, JDXpert is one of the leading job description management solutions out there. It's bringing structure and efficiencies to the way we construct, the way we manage, and the way we store our job description information in comparison to today. And when I thought about the benefits and dived a little bit deeper into the whys, I was able to kind of segment or categorize them into four different pillars or categories. So when we think about JDXpert, I want you to think of the structure that it's bringing to the university, the great content that we will all have available or that we or access to, the collaboration tools, and then the integration that JDXpert has with the other HR systems that we utilize today. Now, the first pillar is structure. And when it comes to JDXpert and structure, it's really going to allow for some consistencies, uniformity, and a structured process. The consistency is going to come into play as we begin to build this job description repository that we all have access to, uniformity in the formatting of our job descriptions, and then again, the straightforward and clearly structured process. JDXpert will also be replacing the current paper process that is in place, in particular, the position authorization form. And JDXpert will also support the compliance of any federal civil service or other requirements that we are required to meet as it relates to creating job descriptions. The second pillar is content. And I've already mentioned this job description repository, a library that will be housed in JDXpert. Now, this library will take some time to build, but in the interim, each and every college and unit on campus will have access to some templates that can be really adjusted to meet each and every one of your needs. And as those job descriptions are created and approved, they will become a part of this job description library. And this library will be curated and customized to our needs here at UIC. Now, the third pillar is collaboration. And as managers or anyone who has any relevant authority or an access to the system, you will be able to modify and suggest revisions to the job description as it's going through the vetting process. And then as approvers, you will be able to approve, reject, or modify electronically any suggestions or modifications that need to be made to the job description. And then you will also be able to collaborate with others that are not a part of the approval workflow. These collaborators will be able to assist in the review of the vacancy request or job description, and they will also have the ability to edit and leave comments as necessary. Now, the very last pillar is integration, but I think this is just as important as all the rest, because as we're vetting job descriptions, as the job descriptions are going through the approval process, that information then gets fed over to Cornerstone. And once that information is fed over, you will know, or you will have this, this reassurance that those job descriptions are accurate and that they have been fully approved before they further become a requisition and are posted on our internal or external job sites. So as we begin to dive into the actual JDXpert system, I want to begin this exploration by kind of going over some new terms that is being introduced along with the introduction of JDXpert. Now, you may have heard me say vacancy request a few times already, and you may be wondering, Karen, what is that? I've never heard that before. And that's because the vacancy request is actually replacing the position authorization form. With the vacancy request, you're actually combining the job description and the position authorization into one request. The next term that may be new for many of you is the concept of a hiring manager. The hiring manager is the position's direct manager or supervisor. This person will be identified in the approval workflow, and they will have the ability to sign off on the job description. Now, the last term that I would like to introduce to you is the requisition owner. Now, the requisition owner, they will the majority of their actions or responsibilities will actually take place in Cornerstone, but there is a portion, or there's a place in when you're creating the job description where you will have to identify who this person is. And so essentially the requisition owner, they will assume ownership of the requisition and job posting in Cornerstone. So now that I've kind of given you those terms to become familiar with, we will now take a look at how you will log into JDXpert. At the time of this recording, I want you to know that the JDXpert link is actually not visible or active on the UIC HR website, but just kind of wanted to walk you through where you will be able to find it once the system actually goes live. All right, so to log into JDXpert, you're going to go to the USC HR website. In the bottom right-hand corner, you will click on Systems. Then you will scroll down to the Human Resources section, and JDXpert will either be listed on the first set of links, or you will click on More HR Applications, and it will be found there. So just to kind of give you an example, today you click on Higher Touch, and you will log in using your net ID and password. The same thing will apply when you're accessing the JDXpert system. So very, very similar. You will find it in the same places. You will just be utilizing a brand new system. Now that you have logged into JDXpert, you should know that what you see once you log in, the access that you have will be determined by what role you're playing in the system, or how you have been identified as a user by the system. And so the next two slides, we're going to kind of talk about these various roles. And some of us may play a variety of these roles at different times, depending on our role in the hiring process. The very first user or role is the department user. Now, the department user, I will say, has the most access to the system. They will have the ability to create and modify vacancy requests or job descriptions. They will be able to send employee acknowledgments and approve vacancy requests. Now, the hiring manager, which is one of those new terms that I introduced to you, they actually will confirm the job duties and the integrity of the job description. And this is key here as well. Their name will be listed on the job description upon approval of the vacancy request / job description. Now, the collaborator, they assist with the creation of the vacancy request or job description. So if you have someone that you partner with whenever you're creating job descriptions, such as a recruiter or any other party, you'll be able to add them as a collaborator to the workflow approval so that they can assist with the creation of the job description. Now, as we proceed to the next slide, you'll see that some additional roles includes the approver. They have the ability to review and approve the vacancy request or job description. So that's their primary role, to review and approve. The central approver is a little different. These may include people from central HR, and they have the ability to review, edit, as well as approve the vacancy request / job description. So they're not just approvers. They have edit rights as well. And then last but not least, the employee. We're all employees. And as an employee, we will be able to view and acknowledge the job description that is pertaining to our roles. So to reiterate, our view and system access will be determined by our user rights or what role we play in the system. So each of our views will not be the same. It will be determined by your access as well as what role you play in the hiring process. Okay. So now we have logged onto the system. We've talked about the variety of roles or access that you can have to JDXpert. Next, I kind of want to walk you through the dashboard. Now, this dashboard is actually one that will be typical of a department user. So they have the most access to JDXpert, okay? So again, what you see here will be determined by your system access as well as the role that you have in the JDXpert system. Now, if we start in the upper right-hand corner of the screen, you see the University of Illinois Chicago logo. The system has been customized and branded for our use. The system welcomes us. You'll see your name listed. And right under that, you'll see the very first icon, which is the envelope icon. Here, you'll be able to view messages from the system regarding any actions that are required on your behalf, or any actions that are required by you. Excuse me. As I double click on one of the messages, you'll see that this is a message that has been generated to JDXpert as well as your Outlook inbox. In that message, there's a link that you can access if you're not currently in the system. And as I go down the left menu bar, you'll see several actions that you're able to request. And you'll see that these actions actually mirror the quick links on the right side of the screen. As we dive a little bit deeper into each one of these quick links, we'll start with the Add Job quick link. Here, you're able to start a new approval workflow for a new job description. So as I mentioned, that job description library has not been built up yet. So most of us will be starting with the Add Job quick link as we begin the job description process, or the process of creating a brand new job description. Now, the very next quick link is the revised job quick link. Here you will be able to start a new workflow approval for an existing job description. So if you already have a job description that has been previously approved, but you just maybe you have an additional role available, you're able to access that job description from the library and then utilize the revised job quick link to start a new approval process. Now, once the job description has been approved by you as an initiator, you will be able to find that job description under My Workflows. Via My Workflows, you're able to determine what step the job description is in the process, or who is the next approver that is required to take action on the job description. And then once the job description has been fully approved, it goes to the My College/unit job library, or the job description repository is another way in which you will hear about this area of the JDXpert website. So again, once the job description has been fully approved, you will be able to find that job description there. And as this library is built up, any college or unit or campus will have access to this library. Next, I'll move up to the job acknowledgements quick link. Here, the department user will have the ability to see what stage job acknowledgements are in the process. As an employee, you will be able to go here to view any job acknowledgements that you have acknowledged. So another great tool that is a part of the JDXpert website. Now, the next quick link is the Employee Explorer quick link. Here, the department user will be able to see any job descriptions that are outstanding, and as a result, they'll be able to send out those job descriptions so that they can be acknowledged by that employee. Now, there is a quick link that is missing here, and that is the My Jobs quick link. The My Jobs quick link is available to the employee user. Here, they'll be able to go and view their job description for their current role and then approve that job description. Once the job description has been approved, then again, it will be available under the job acknowledgements quick link. The last quick link that's listed here is the training quick link. What we hope to have is, or what we will have, I should say, is more detailed training available on JDXpert. It will be on-demand training that can be accessed at any time versus, the webinar format that we're using today. It will cover a variety of scenarios and situations, especially if it's situations that you don't encounter on a frequent basis. You will be able to access that training here to address any of those concerns. Now, the middle portion of the screen is the task area of the dashboard. Here you'll be able to see job descriptions that require action to be taken by yourself. You can see that my list here is very short, but if you have a more robust list, you're able to do a quick search to access that job description. Now, another thing I would like to point out is the tabs portion of the dashboard. Now, the home page tab will get you back to this screen. But what I want to point out to you is that as you access the quick links, so I'm going to click on the job acknowledgements, you'll see that there is a job acknowledgements tab that will appear. So I'm going to go back to the home page and I'll click on another quick link, just an example. So if I click on training, you see now a trainings tab has appeared. So you have several ways to access each of these actions. Now, as I move to the upper right-hand portion, you'll see 3 lines with an arrow. If I click there, that hides the header of the page and makes the dashboard area more visible. Click on the bell icon, you'll be able to view any notifications from the system. And then the very last icon actually logs you off of the JDXpert system. So that is the JDXpert dashboard. Okay, so we've logged into the system. We understand that there are a variety of users. There are a variety of access to the system. We've kind of get an understanding, or I should say we've explored how the JDXpert dashboard looks. And again, the view that we took a look at today is one typical of a department user. As an employee, for example, once you log in, your view will be very different. So you will only have access to that My Jobs quick link as well as the job acknowledgements quick link. Or say you're just an approver in the process versus a department user, your access will look very different as well. So I don't want you to be alarmed if you're logging in and not seeing everything that was displayed on the screen. Okay, so now we are going to actually create a vacancy request or job description. Now remember, the vacancy request is replacing the position authorization form that you currently utilize in conjunction with Higher Touch. Now JDXpert has a great wizard or template, if you will, that helps in the creation of the job description. And so now I will walk you through how that job wizard looks and how it works. Now, to create a job description, you will be clicking the Add Jobs quick link. Next, you will be selecting Base Job. And I'm going to be creating a job description for academic professional position. So I type in ACAD, and it will bring up the academic professional template. I'm going to indicate the title of the position in which I will be hiring for. In this case, it is the Director of Organizational Development. After that, I will select this as a child job. This is very important so that you do not override the template. Next, I will be selecting the workflow, the approval workflow, and I will be selecting the academic professional 6-step workflow, which is the most common workflow for that position. Now, once you have selected the appropriate workflow, next you will be assigning the approvers that will be a part of that workflow. Now you see here that as the initiator, Dorothy Gill is listed first. Next, you will indicate the hiring manager, who is the employee's direct manager or supervisor. So I'm indicating Bruce Banner. Then you will indicate the approver from Unit HR. I'm looking for Wally West. And you will notice that you can either double click on the name or you can click Add Participant in the bottom right-hand corner. And then next, College HR. And Kara Danvers is the approver. And then the Dean Vice Chancellor, who is the approver from the Dean Vice Chancellor. This could be the Dean or Vice Chancellor himself or a designee, okay? And then you'll see that there's already a name listed from UIC HR Compensation. Once all approvers have been indicated, you will click the Start Workflow button. Now, some key reminders before we proceed through the rest of this process. Budget approvals will now be performed in JDXpert. Again, we are replacing the position authorization form, or we are incorporating what was accomplished through the position authorization form with the JDXpert system. Workflow approvers will vary according to employee group and the workflow purpose. Approval levels are determined and assigned by the administrative unit or college. And then Vice Chancellor Michael Ginsburg has actually requested a designee approver from each dean and vice chancellor. So as I mentioned, when I was selecting the approver for the dean vice chancellor, it can actually be the dean or vice chancellor or a designee that they have indicated who that can act on their behalf. Now, the next couple of slides is that sampling of approval workflows. Again, this is just a sampling. It does not encompass every situation that will be handled through JDXpert, but just kind of wanted to point out, some of the differences and some of the key players that are a part of the workflow or the approval workflow process. Now, the very first of those employee groups that we're going to look at is the academic professional workflow. So, of course, as I'm walking you through how to create a job description or vacancy request, I am doing so for an academic professional position. I was the initiator. We indicated who the hiring manager would be. We are involving unit HR, college HR, the dean, vice chancellor, and then the final approver is USC HR compensation before the information feeds over to Cornerstone. Now, what's important to note here is that for any positions with UI Health, UI Health has its own separate workflow. And as you can see here, the administrator or chief line chancellor and the position management committee are both involved in the approval workflow before it goes back to USC HR compensation, and then that information gets fed over to Cornerstone. So that is what's important to note here. Now for the faculty workflow, you'll notice that the approval process starts with unit HR, and then it proceeds to college HR. The dean and vice chancellor becomes involved or their designee. And once all approvals have been obtained, the information is then fed over to Cornerstone. And with the faculty workflow, but an administrative line position, it's very similar to the academic professional workflow, but what's important to note here is the involvement of faculty affairs. So faculty affairs is able to be added to the approval workflow for this position. And once all relevant approvals have been obtained, that information then is further fed into Cornerstone. And then last but not least, we have the civil service workflow. You see here the workflow, of course, starts with the initiator. The hiring manager is included in the process, as well as unit and college HR. The dean vice chancellor or their designee grants their approval. And then either USC HR compensation or one of the satellite HR offices in Peoria or Rockford play a role in the approval process. And then once all approvals have been obtained, again, the information is fed over to Cornerstone. So again, just kind of wanted to point out the flow of the information, the flow of the approval process, the key players in the approval process. And this is just a sampling of those scenarios. We know that there are others out there, such as reclassifications. There are various scenarios under each employee group in which certain stakeholders will come into play. But just wanted to kind of give you an example of the various workflows. So we have started a job description workflow. We have assigned the approvers to that particular workflow. So now we're going to get into the nitty-gritty of the job description itself. So once we have assigned the approvers, we see here towards the bottom of the screen, all approvers are listed here and their email addresses. So as the process flows, each of these approvers will receive an email. We will click on the icon with the pencil so that we're now able to edit the job description. And we can see that this is a approval workflow that requires action. As we start in the top left-hand corner, we see the Save and Close button, the Discard Draft button, and then the Workflow button. Through the Workflow button, you're able to click on Workflow details, and you're able to also view the approvers that are a part of the workflow. You're also able to add additional approvers or collaborators at this point. So if there's a recruiter that you collaborate with on the process, you're able to add them here. You can also approve the workflow via that screen as well. And then you're able to compare the job description versus the original template. The thumbs up allows you to approve the current workflow step. And then the next icon allows you to see the details of the approval process and to see where it is or what step it is in the process. And then last, the comment icon allows you to view any comments that have been added to the job description. You're able to spell check any information entered. The preview pane allows you to see a preview of the final version of the job description. The split screen button allows you disregard the screen that popped up, but this is actually what happens when you click on that button. You're able to compare different versions of job descriptions, and then last but not least, you're able to see any errors that need to be addressed. Now the circle with the eye. Once you click on there, you'll get a pop-up window that provides more information about that field. And then the circle with the question mark kind of gives you a tip about that field. So it lets you know kind of what needs to be entered into that field. So a lot of great little tools that are built within this form that will aid you as you go through the job description creation process. Okay, so now we're going to actually create the job description. Okay, so once you click on that pencil icon and go into the system, you want to make sure that the edit toggle button is set to green. If it is not, you will not be able to edit the job description. Once it is set to green, you'll see some pre-filled information there that feeds over from the template. You will indicate the title of the person who this position will be reporting to. You will indicate the organization code. In this case, I'm putting in the code for UIC HR. You will scroll down and you will need to indicate the requisition owner, which is the person who will assume responsibility in Cornerstone for this job description. So I'm indicating the requisition owner or recruiter. And then I next will be assigning the hiring manager. So if you recall, Bruce Banner was the hiring manager in the approval workflow. And so I am also indicating them here or adding them here. Next, you'll need to enter, you will need to indicate the proposed start date and the number of vacancies. So there's one vacancy. And then you will need to answer security questions related to the position. So in my case, all of the answers to these questions are no. I'm going to click the you have the ability either to click the next button at the bottom of the screen or just go to the next tab on the left menu bar. Now for the job summary, as this job description library is created, what you will find is when you do search library, you'll have a information out here available for your use. So in this case, the job description library is not robust enough. These are all brand new positions, so we'll need to add this information. So what I'm going to do off screen is add in a job summary that I have for the Director of Organizational Development. Excuse me. I'm doing a spell check, and then I'm going to save and close. I'm going to go to the next tab, which is duties and responsibilities, excuse me. You have the ability to type in those responsibilities individually, or you can go to the paste list feature, copy in the list of duties offline. And then once I save and close, you will see here a bulleted list has been created for you. So it takes the load off as far as manually entering that information. Under qualifications, you can see information is pre-filled here based on the role, but you do have the ability to edit. So I'm going to update the requirement from a bachelor's degree to a master's degree. And then I'm going to save and close that information. The next tab is physical demands. And this is an office and administrative support position. So I'm just going to click reset to default so that the predetermined information gets filled in. Now you do have the ability to edit this information if it needs to be modified for your particular role. But if not, just, click reset to default and the predetermined information will be entered for you. The budget tab is next. You will enter the salary information for that position as well as the budget profile code. Now we have entered information into all of the tabs. So you will click the save button at this point, and you'll see in the top right hand portion of the screen, there was this circling or this button that was kind of like processing. So you know that the system, is working on your behalf. Now, one of the errors that was listed was the need to enter an org chart. So I'm going back to the job information tab and adding that information. And so at that point, all errors have been addressed and the job description will be saved. Once that's done, I can approve the job description. So I'm going to click the thumbs up button on the green menu bar. I'm going to add a brief message to the next approver in the process. It's not necessary, but hey, please review and approve. And then approve step. So Bruce Banner is the next approver in the process. So now an email will be generated to them so that they can take action themselves. Okay, so now that the job description has been approved by you as an initiator, when I did the walkthrough of the dashboard, I mentioned that the job description will now be housed in the My Workflows or under the My Workflows quick link. What I failed to mention is that the very first time that you access the system, you will actually, the My Workflows quick link will not be visible. Once you have actually initiated and created a job description and approved it as an initiator, the My Workflow quick link will appear, okay? So once you have initiated and approved a job description as a As an initiator, approved a job description as an initiator, the My Workflows quick link will appear. Okay, so under the My Workflows quick link, you will be able to see the job descriptions that you have approved, and you will be able to see what step they are in the process, or who the next approver is in the process. So it's a quick way, a quick snapshot of any job descriptions that you are waiting full approval of. Once the job description has been approved by all approvers in the process, it will be housed in the My College/unit job library. And then that My College/unit job library is accessible by anyone on campus. So if another college or unit has a position similar to yours, you can go to that library, look for that job description, and then just tweak it for your particular use, and then click the Revised Jobs quick link to start the approval process for that particular role. All right, so we have logged into the system. We have an understanding of what the JDXpert dashboard looks like. We have created a job description. We have initiated the approval workflow process. We have created the actual job description itself, and then approved it so that it moves on to the next approver in the process. So once all of those steps have taken place, now JDXpert is able to integrate with the other HR systems, and in particular Cornerstone. And Cornerstone is the new applicant tracking system that we will be utilizing. So in JDXpert, we created the vacancy requester job description, we approved the vacancy requester job description, and now that information is fed over to Cornerstone. What I want you to know is that this integration or this flow of information, it happens only 4 times a day. And that flow of information only is one way. So it only goes from JDXpert to Cornerstone, not vice versa. Once the vacancy request is fed over to Cornerstone, the requisition is completed, it is approved, the job is posted, and then applicants will have the ability to apply to the job. So you can see how these systems, how they work together, how they collaborate together in order to accomplish our goal of getting qualified applicants in all of the roles that are necessary to do our jobs here at UIC. Now, there is only certain information that feeds from JDXpert to Cornerstone, so I want to point that out here as well. And as we walk through the creation of a job description, we saw that there were several tabs. There was the job information tab, job summary, job duties, minimum requirements, physical demands, and then the budget. Okay. Now, only the job information, job summary, duties, and minimum requirements are actually fed over to Cornerstone and becomes a part of the job requisition. But the beautiful thing about this, because of this flow of information, we have that assurance of knowing that the information that is fed is accurate and it is approved information that will ultimately be on the requisition. Some display tips or system requirements that we want to make you aware of as it relates to JDXpert are as follows. The only browsers that are supported are Chrome, Edge, Firefox, and Safari. So these are the only browsers that you should be using to access the JDXpert system. The browser zoom should be set to 100% or higher. The minimum screen resolution is 1440 by 900. but the recommended screen resolution is 1920 by 1080 or better. Okay, so keep these things in mind as you are accessing the JDXpert system. It is also recommended that you access the system on a Mac or PC only. So the system is currently not accessible through a mobile device or tablet. It is accessible via a Mac or PC only. Also, please note that there may be some display variations when you are using a laptop versus a desktop monitor. Okay, so just make a note of these differences or discrepancies so that you're not alarmed depending on how you're accessing the system. And so that wraps up today's presentation for today. I want to thank you so much for joining me to learn more about this great job description management solution that is being brought to UIC. If you have any questions or need more information, you can contact the UIC Help Desk. Their email address and phone number are listed here. You can also scan the QR code on the screen that will direct you to their email. And then additional learning and frequently asked questions, those are coming soon. As we roll out all of our live webinars, we will be gathering all of the questions that all of you may have about the system, and we will be putting together an FAQ that you will have access to. And then also stay tuned for the on-demand training that we'll be creating and that will be housed through our Ability Learning Management System. So please know that we got your back. We welcome your feedback. And we will do everything that we can to make this transition to JDXpert as seamless as possible. Until next time, you guys take care and look forward to that additional training that will be rolling out soon.